HHN 32 is about a month away, and with everything finally announced for the event, we wanted to give you our personal opinion on what we are most hyped for this year. So, let's talk about it. Welcome to the Horror Fiends. I'm your certified horror dad, Kyle Beatty, and this is my wife, Amber. Today we're talking about our personal hype list for HHN 32 in terms of houses. Now, this is our personal opinion. You are entitled to your own opinion here. Even our opinions here today differ greatly on some things. But without further ado, let's dive straight into it.
So with the houses this year, there aren't any that we're not necessarily excited for. It's just that there are some that we're more excited for than others.
So with some of these houses, we do match up a little bit on our rankings of them. So let's start with number 10, and that is going to be the Exorcist Believer. Now this does seem like it's going to be a great house, but because we haven't seen the movie doesn't come out till October, we don't know anything about it besides what we've seen in the trailers. So this is something we're going to walk into blind, which is fun in aspects, but there's also an aspect that cannot be great maybe, but we will see once we get there on September 1st to see exactly what's going on with it. Just because it's on the bottom spot, like she said, doesn't mean we're not excited for it. It's just something we don't know too much about.
So for number 9, we both have the same house again, and that's going to be Dueling Dragons. For both of us, we agree that we're pretty excited about this house because the concept of having dragons and like the medieval vibes is really, really cool. But neither of us got to experience Dueling Dragons as a ride when it was in the park, so we just don't have that form of excitement surrounding this house being announced.
So this is where our hype lists kind of differ here, and for number 8, I have Blood Moon Dark Offerings. The reason for this is because, again, I don't know much about what's going on in the house, and we only have like a brief description of what it's going to be. We even listened to that Discover Universal podcast. Not much was even said in that. Besides that is a blood moon cult coming to basically kill you. Not more is known about it, so it's kind of an unknown house, which could be, like I said, a good thing or a bad thing. We will find out when we get to the event, but that is why it's so low on my list.
So for number 8 on my list, I have Yeti Campground Kills. The only reason that it is so low on my list is just because of the other houses that we have this year are a little bit more hyped for me. I'm a little more excited for those. This house seems like it's going to be really, really cool, but it's just not my most anticipated.
Alright, so number 7 for me is going to be Chucky, the Ultimate Kill Count. This was originally going to be much lower before we got the announcement because, I mean, we've done Chucky before, and I just wasn't extremely excited for it. Not that I hate Chucky at all, but the fact that it was, not much known again about it at that time was why it was so low. But now with watching or listening to the Discover Universal podcast and learning so much about what's going on inside this house, that it's Chucky actually taking over the house from the HHN creators of it and basically murdering all of them in his ultimate kill count, puts this a lot higher on my list than I originally thought it would be, and I'm actually pretty excited for it, especially with what is going on with the Hollywood one, possibly putting in Chucky animatronics into the house. So we'll see if that comes to our Orlando location, and if it does, I feel like this could be a game changer house.
The next house on my list is The Darkest Deal, and again, it's not because I'm not excited for this house, because I really, really am. I love the concept. I think it's going to be really cool, and it's going to be very pretty. But for me, there's just like the tiniest sliver of difference between now leading up to my most anticipated house, because my top 5 are like super solid, and I cannot bring myself to put my next one on the list in place of this one.
So I might get some flack for this one, but my number 6 is Stranger Things 4. I know it's a lot of people's number 1 right now, but I just am more of a fan of original concepts more than the IPs usually. And I've been through the Stranger Things years, 2018 and 2019. I love Stranger Things, and that's what is higher than everything else. And I felt like watching this season, when we watched it, really create that atmosphere that we thought this could be a great haunted house. And now that Universal is actually doing it, I'm very excited to see what's going on in it. I know there's some iconic scenes from it they could do. I am in no way not excited for this house. It's just there's some more houses I'm a little more excited for on the top of this list.
So number 6 on the list for me is Blood Moon Dark Offerings. And it's kind of really hurting me that all of the originals are below number 5 right now for me. Usually my most anticipated houses are the originals. This is the first year I've ever been this excited about IPs. So I really don't have any further explanation on why Blood Moon has to be here, besides I'm just very excited for the IPs this year. But if it weren't for those, Blood Moon would be at my very top.
So for number 5, I have The Last of Us based on the Naughty Dog game. I know this is low again for other people's lists, but for my list, I feel like this is perfect for what I'm excited for. Like I said in a live stream and in previous videos, I actually played The Last of Us when it came out. So I am a big fan of that series and the story they were telling, and I'm very excited to see that translated back into a haunted house. Getting a video game haunted house back at HHN since Resident Evil is really fun for me. It makes me very excited for it. That is why it is in my top 5. But again, there's a little more houses that I'm a little more excited for at the top of this list.
The number 5 for me is going to be Chucky. Putting him at number 5 was kind of like my solve to it, because for me, Chucky was not one of my most anticipated houses when we first heard about it. I was kind of like, we've been there, we've done that. He's been sprinkled through Horror Nights the past few years, and I wasn't sure how it would really play out. I enjoyed the series, but after hearing the Universal podcast and hearing the story that's going to be going on in the house, it's definitely a lot higher on the list for me now.
So for number 4, in very contrast to what she said about it, is The Darkest Deal for me. Like I said, I am a big fan of the original concepts that they bring to the event, and The Darkest Deal, from what we heard on this Discover Universal podcast, does seem like it could be a winner of this year, the underdog basically that everyone's going to eventually love when they actually get to HHN. With the whole Devil Went Down to Georgia vibe, or the Robert Johnson, whatever you believe it to be, The Darkest Deal is definitely a great concept for a house that seems very flushed out, and the fact that you get to follow along on this journey with Pine Straw Spruce, with his deal with the devil on the crossroads, and learning how it affects him and the way he plays his blues music, does seem like something I am very excited for. I was a big fan of the Kitty Cat Club inside of Case Files when we had that there, and I'm hoping that's similar vibe. I know that was jazz there, and this is blues. This is very different, but I'm very excited to see the music be incorporated inside of this house.
So Stranger Things is taking my number 4 spot, and I feel like I could not have not had Stranger Things in my top 5. I love Stranger Things, and my first year at Horror Nights was actually the year that they did seasons 2 and 3 in their house. So it's kind of a little nostalgic for me just to like experience a house again that was there at my first year. But given now it's season 4, and that's a season that I'm really excited to see in the house, because it just seems like it's going to portray very well.
So here's when we get into our top 3. It is very hard to choose between these 3 for me. I don't know if that's the same for you.
Yeah.
It's very hard to choose between these 3 of what I am most excited about. But for number 3, I have Universal Monsters Unmasked. Do you have that too?
I do.
Well, we both have Universal Monsters Unmasked for our top 3. Universal Monsters as a staple in HHN in these recent years, with them coming over and over again, and they always have banger houses. Something you always will remember coming back from HHN is that monster house that they had. And with this whole concept of these underdog monsters that aren't really utilized in Universal, we don't have Drac, Frankenstein, stuff like that. This time it is Hunchback, you know, Invisible Man, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the Phantom of the Opera. These are people we don't really see much. And listening to that Discover Universal podcast we were mentioning earlier really gets into the nitty-gritty of what this house is going to be about, and the concepts behind it, the lore behind it, and all of that does seem very flushed out, and I'm very excited for this. Alright, and getting to the number 2 spot for me, you might judge me on this, and I understand why. It's a silly thing to have at number 2, but for me, number 2 is Yeti Campground Kills. Hear me out, okay? They could do so much with this house, with its whole outdoor setting, the fact that you're on a campground with these Yetis, with this, mission to get to the Ranger Tower, and learning from Dead Man's Pier of last year with what they can do on a large scale, where you can be at the beginning of the house and see a giant thing from far away and then approach it later in the house. I think they could do that great with the Ranger Tower they mentioned in the description. Obviously, I don't know if they're going to do that, but even so, being in that outdoor setting, actually outdoor throughout the whole house, inside of these campgrounds, not buildings, with these things coming after you with a mission throughout the house, is why I'm so excited about this one.
For me, taking the number 2 spot is going to be The Last of Us. And I know he's judging me because before the TV series, I had no idea what The Last of Us was. But after watching the TV series and the playthrough with part 1 of the game, I became very attached to the storyline and the characters, and it's just something that I fell in love with, and I'm really excited to see in the house. It's a very beautiful game, beautiful show, so I'm excited to see that version of zombies in a house. And as far as like the clickers and bloaters and everything like that, the makeup's gonna be really cool, and I'm just really excited to see what they can do with it.
And for our number one spot on our hype list for HHN 32 houses is going to be Dr. Oddfellow's Twisted Origins. Obviously, you probably could have guessed this. This is at a lot of people's top one of their hype lists. And everything this year is going to connect to Dr. Oddfellow. He is the icon of HHN 32. The scare zones are all connected to him. He has his own house. And with Jack being my favorite icon, it connects to Jack as well in this house. So I'm very excited to see what they do with Dr. Oddfellow in this house. But we want to hear from you what your HHN 32 hype lists are. And we are going to link in the description a Twitter picture that we created for you guys, which basically lets you list all of your scare zones and houses that you are hyped for this event. Make sure you tag us on Twitter if you do use that. We want to see everything from you guys. But to close out this video, we want to talk to you guys about our 1K giveaway that we are doing and how you can enter it. So we're giving away 3 different items: one HHN 29 shirt, one Stranger Things Funko Pop, and another Stranger Things Funko Pop. You can enter to win these by just being subscribed to the Horror Fiends down here, and also just commenting on this video that you want to be a part of this giveaway. You can comment anything and you'll be entered into the drawing. We'll have 3 winners, and based on how our supplies last, when you win, we will announce on a Sunday night live stream, and you can choose what you want to win. The only restrictions on this giveaway is that you just have to live in the US, but besides that, you can enter the giveaway. Just be subscribed and comment down below, and you'll be entered into that drawing. So make sure you tune into Sunday night's live stream this week to see who is going to be winning these items. And thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. But if you like HHN, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification down below, because we're going to keep you updated all throughout August and into the HHN season with all of the HHN content year round. Also, if you want to become a member of the channel to join the Haunted Homies, you can do that as well to receive exclusive content from the Horror Fiends, including live stream after parties, and an exclusive Discord channel from us, and early access to these videos you see here on YouTube before everyone else sees them. But besides that, we will see you in the fog, and we will see you in the morgue.